Jackson Radio Show.
So, you ever wonder why people like Mitch McConnell or John McCain or Lindsey Graham have such an issue with our president? You ever thought about it? I mean, there are a couple of things if you think about what certain people think they have and what they think he doesn't have. Just seriously, what do you think? Well, honestly, for me, I'm thinking, with friends like these, who needs enemies, right? These guys are supposed to be in the same party as our president, but they are the first ones to criticize and to sometimes ridicule the leader of their own personal party. Mind you, yes, he's technically more of an independent than a Republican, but okay, we'll claim him right now because he is our leader and he is a duly elected president. By the way, I'm Liz Matore. I'm filling in for Kevin today. This is the Kevin Jackson Show on KJRadio.com. But yeah, man, I was talking to one of my friends about it, and I'm like, golly, man, it seems like every opportunity these guys want to bash it, And we were talking, and he's like, you know what, Liz? Like, it's because those guys are jealous of him. And I'm like, totally, right? These guys, look, both Lindsey Graham and John McCain tried to be what he is. They both tried to run to be president, and they LOST'd. They lost big league, right? But this guy, this brood, crass, nouveau riche, by the way, they think he is new money, which I think is hilarious because obviously they've had it for some time, but in their world, he's not generational, so they consider him, subpar in the first place. That's how elitists think, actually, which is super, super sad. But I started to think about it, and I'm like, wow, it's because these guys think they run the place. And I guess they have. So I started looking at their time that they've been in office. Mitch McConnell has been a frickin' senator for Kentucky since 1985. So since I was 5 years old, Mitch McConnell has been a senator. Okay? John McCain has been a senator since 1987 for Arizona. That was 31 years ago when I was 7. His father was in Navy Admiral, I can't say that word, Admiral, and so was his grandfather. So we're talking about years and years and generations of brass, right? So South Carolinian Lindsey Graham has been a senator since 2003, but he's been in Congress since 1995. And I was, okay, so who is it? It's not like we're trying to have him to have like a rubber stamp or anything. But I really do think it's that piece that they think that they're the ones that should be controlling the matter, not him. So how many other of these guys, and don't forget, these are all guys, long-standing guys. Remember what I said at the beginning, where all these Democrats are trying to unseat young Republican representatives? Going back to it, for years, for 30 to 40 years, these people have never ever actually taken out incumbents just because of their gender. Talk about it. Okay, so Senator Thad Cochran, Republican from, I want to say Missouri or Mississippi, I forgot what I wrote on my handwriting. He's been there for 45 years, both House and Senate. Don Young apparently is considered the Dean of the House because he's the oldest, from Alaska, Republican, 45 years. Patrick Leahy, from Democrat from Vermont, dude's been there for 43 years. Chuck Grassley, both the House and Senate, 43 years, Republican from Iowa. Ed Markey, Senator, both House and Senate, Democrat from Massachusetts, between 41 to 42 years. Orrin Hatch, Senator from Utah, dude's been there for 41 years. Richard Shelby, Was a Democrat, turned to be a Republican, Alabama House and Senate, 39 years. Whew. Patrick Leahy, I already mentioned him. Bernie Sanders. Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell has been there since 85, as I had mentioned. Jim Sensenbrenner, Republican from Wisconsin, 39 years. Next one, Pat Roberts and Ron Wyden have been there for 37 years. Our guy here, Steny Hoyer, has been here for 36 years, 304 days as a congressman from Maryland. Your boy Chuck Schumer and Hal Rogers and Chris Smith have been there for 35. So yeah, guys, this is what I'm talking about this whole time. I think it is ridiculous, the fact that these people have been there for so long. Though they are the establishment, folks. You can't get more establishment than 45 years being in that same place, pretty much. You just cross the street. Dude, Thad Cochran has been there for 45 years. I mean, if this is not a better case for term limits, I mean, how do you get diversity? Real diversity of thought, opinion, viewpoints. Yes, gender, race, and ethnicity. All of those things. Leadership, like, why would we ever think that we would get anything done that's different? Because all these people who've been there for so long, this is how things are done. And you have this outsider, most extreme outsider in President Trump, who's like, you guys need to do this. We need to get things done. I don't care how you do it. You figure it out. You tell me what's the best solution, and we'll, evaluate it again to find solutions. Can you imagine being in a job for more than 30 years and had all these things breaking around you and you have no solutions for them? I mean, the longer you stay, the longer you stay in office, you have more susceptibility for corruption. Incumbents, I've seen it firsthand. Special interests keep incumbents in because they know how they vote. They don't want challengers. They don't want real challengers. Even the Republican Party doesn't want challengers. Here in Montgomery County, our voters voted, 70% in 2016 voted for term limits here in Maryland. Actually, in Montgomery County for the county council. And even I remember seeing one of the incumbents at one of these women training programs, and I was talking about the importance of, challenging incumbents and the need for term limits and the benefits of term limits. And she was like, oh, I'm glad, you must be glad that I'm losing my job. It's like, lady, this is not supposed to be your career. The reason why we have 2-year terms for House members and 6-year terms for senators is because it wasn't supposed to be a career thing. It was supposed to be citizens voting people into office, figure out what you can do, and move on. But if the president is term limited, then we should also term limit Congress and Senate, at the very least. Max 8-10. I've got with 7, so okay, with 6 years for a Senate term, okay, so 12 years. 2 terms. 2 terms you get to serve as a senator. You do what you need to do, you figure out things, you try to answer the things that you can answer, and then you move on. So you can be able to rotate, as my friend was talking about, you can rotate new ideas, you can allow for the bench to always sort of churn. I mean, we've seen it here in Maryland where, God bless her, Barbara Mikulski stayed in her seat forever, and so everybody underneath her was technically stuck in their positions. And then her retirement is really what set a lot of these seats in motion. You had, two a Senate here who won, 2 congressmen ran for, a congressman and a congresswoman ran for the Senate seat. So that vacated their seats, and then other people ran for those seats. So those other people's seats were vacated. And now that we have term limits, they're like a record 36 people running? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. This is time for term limits. Our republic is not going to survive any longer when you have that dynamic, where you have people who are there for half a century, literally half a century, folks. How is that helpful to anyone? And the only reason why you can notice now is because we have an outlier as a president. And so all of this stuff is coming to the surface that has literally been underneath the swamp. When you have stagnant water, that's where you get the moss. That's where you get the moss.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.